All right. So, one thing I was thinking about, in terms of trying to honor Michaelann was I was thinking, when I say she was the love of my life, what does that mean to me? And, I got thinking about it, and to me, what it means is you love somebody so completely, so thoroughly, you accept them just as much as a human can, and they reciprocate. So you could be the most authentic version of yourself. The facade falls away, and that's what I had with Michaelann. So, yeah, that's a wonderful thing. So I'm glad I brought a list because I'm already going brain dead. The things that I really loved about Michaelann was she was perpetually, it seemed to me, to be upbeat and positive. I'm kind of the opposite of that. So she kind of balanced us out, which I really appreciated. And I loved, as the older I get, the more cranky I get. And her,
guilty as charged.
She just seemed to be very, almost childlike. She kept that youthful spirit about her, which I really appreciate. And I mean, I remember early on in our relationship, before I learned all of her looks, we were living in Abbotsford, and we had a pool at this apartment complex we lived at, which was wonderful, and we wanted to go get beach towels. And so we went to Value Village over in Abbey, and we're looking for beach towels, and she comes walking up to me, and I'm a big guy, so she's kind of looking up at me, and she's clutching this towel to her chest, and she's giving me this look. I didn't know her looks yet, so I'm looking at her going, what? Did I do something wrong? Is everything okay? I wasn't sure. And so she was holding this towel, and it was Thomas the train, the blue train. Y'all remember that? So it was that towel.
Thomas the Tank?
Thomas, yeah.
Thomas the Tank Engine.
Yeah. So she was holding that and looking up at me, and I was like, what? And she said, do you mind if we get this? And I was like, well, of course, I don't mind. You don't need my permission. We had a deal, big ticket items, you work together and do that stuff, but that's not a big ticket item. And so I was kind of probing, trying to figure out why she felt hesitant to buy this. And she said she was worried about what I would think because it was kind of a child's type of towel. And I could tell that she had been maybe put down for that type of stuff in the past. And I think I told her something like, I love it. I think it reflects who you are. It's absolutely Michaelann. I think it's great. You should get it. And whatever I said was the exact right thing to say, because you could just see the tension just leave her. Yeah. Sorry.
I think I remember a time where she spoke about the first time she went to see you.
Yeah.
Traveling, and she gets off the bus and she goes over to you and she sort of opens, and you were like boggle-eyed.
Oh yeah. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's you know, it is interesting that we first met at a bus station in Boise, Idaho, which is my hometown, and we last saw each other at a bus station in Bellingham, Washington. And, you know, we had a car for a while, but for much of our relationship, it was public transit. So anyway, when she first came to visit me in Idaho in, what was that, late 2010, November 2010 or something, I know family thought she was batshit crazy to go visit this dude over in Idaho. But I remember going to the bus station and I watched the bus pull up, and apparently she didn't immediately see me, and she was worried she got stood up. And so she goes to the front of the bus and I see her peeking through the window, and then she sees me and lights up, and I remember she came down the stairs on the bus, and she'd been sitting a while. She gets real stiff, you know, as I think we do if you're sitting for a long time. And so the bus driver helped her come down the stairs, and as soon as she got on firm ground, she bounded like a gazelle into my arms, and yeah, I was smitten. It had a great visit, and she did a few visits over to Boise, and then got me moved over here. Yeah, but we were.
She also liked the fact that you appreciated her assets.
Yeah. Actually, your mother, when I first went to meet your mother and your brother, well, your mother first goes, "Another long hair?" But I won over Mom. Thank goodness. She was wonderful. Love her. But oh boy, where was I going with this? Oh, the assets.
Boise.
Well, the assets. So I think your mother looked over at Larry and says, "We all know why he married her," or something like that. And I try to convince her, "No, I love your daughter and all that." But yeah. Let me refer to my list here. Oh wow. You know, there's so many memories. I remember before we met face to face, we would do like the Skype calls, you know, and we would do that every single night. And it must have been in the summer. I was living next to a beautiful park in Boise, Idaho, just gorgeous. And I had my window open in the evening, and there's crickets in the bush right outside my window. Now, from my point of reference, they were not that loud. From Michaelann's point of reference, with the microphone, it sounded like they were screaming. And also, for some reason, sounded like Kermit the Frog, which I don't see it. But yeah, so anyway, the interesting thing is, like, even on my iPad, when I set a timer, I always set it for the crickets to go off. So, and she did the same thing, because there's a cricket setting, so you set the timer, the crickets sound, and it was just something, we always would do that, and it would always kind of remind us of that early time. Yeah. And, you know, I really tried to find things that we could do together, commonalities, common interests. Me, I like movies. She likes TV shows, crime dramas, emergency services, things like that. I'm not really into those. And I once asked her, how many murders can you watch happen on a crime drama before you just get enough of it? And she said, of course, there's no such limit. It doesn't exist. Yeah. Yeah. So, but no, mercifully, we both like Star Trek, of course, and the Orville, and you know, think of Battlestar Galactica, and so we would watch those together. And I sometimes would get her to watch a movie. The last one we watched was Heat, Robert De Niro, and great movie, but she didn't like it. She got lost in it. She really likes her TV shows. something else I like to do, we would often, our average day when we were together was that she'd be on the computer, I'd be on my Xbox, my lounger, and she could see my screen, I could see her screen. And, boy, sorry, I'm just getting lost here. Sometimes, oh yeah, I knew how lucky I was to have Michaelann as my wife. And I would sometimes just pause to look. Because like I said, I knew how lucky I was. And she would start singing sometimes. Now, Michaelann did not have a singing voice. To me, it sounded angelic. And late in our marriage, she started singing while she would watch music videos and stuff. And she caught me watching her once. And she got all self-conscious. And she's like apologizing, am I bothering you? Am I interrupting your game? And I said, no, I paused the game because I'm enjoying your singing. And after that, she would sit there and sing, and I would stop and watch her. And most of the time, she never even knew I was watching her, but I did, because like I said, I was fully aware of how lucky I was. And of course, you all know Michaelann was a voracious reader. I think when she passed away, 18 boxes of books or something, you and my brother took over to yeah. But she always had a book that she was reading, and she was passionate about, LGBTQ freedoms. She loved her canning of tomatoes. She would buy, like this time of year, 40 pounds and spend days going through all of the, and just making so many jars of tomatoes.
I think I've still got 12 to 20 jars of her canned tomatoes.
Yeah, if anybody wants some, right? Yeah. And I've got a couple at my place. Yeah, and something that was really interesting about Michaelann, she's very liberal, but she was very traditional in being a wife, at least with me. She would, at least early on, she would not let me cook. She would not let me get my own coffee. She would not let me get my own drinks. And I'd just tell her, I've been a bachelor. I can cook. I can pour my own drinks. And she said, no, it's the wife's job. She's going to do it. And I was like, well, I'm lazy. If you want to do it, so be it. But she really, and I talked to her, I'm like, you really like this. I don't need you to do this. And she loved it. She really enjoyed it. So I enjoyed it. And I could tell as she got older, it became more difficult for her to get up and get down and do things like that. And I finally got to the point where I just said, I can do this. And she started letting me do that. So I always appreciated that.
And she loved finding clothing.
Oh yeah.
That would put a gleam in your eye.
Yeah, yeah.
She very much wanted to please you.
Yeah, she did. And it's funny, when we first got together, she told me, I don't want you shopping with me. I was like, okay, that seems kind of strange, but whatever. And it's because she didn't want me to control what she wore. She wanted to wear what she wanted to wear, and And I told her, I just, where the hell you want? You're a grown-ass adult, you're a woman, you just don't need my permission. And once she figured that out, then she loved going shopping with me, because she would walk out the dressing room and model for me. And in fact, the last 3 pictures she sent me were modeling t-shirts she got at the Blue Note over at 7 Oaks. Yeah, so I've got so many pictures of Michaelann modeling her beautiful pictures for me. And of course, when we scatter her ashes, we're going to scatter at a falls. She loved waterfalls, so we're going to do that at Cascade Falls. And yeah, I need to liaison with you and make sure you're a part of that next month. We're thinking next month. That work for you? Okay.
September.
Or September, yes, thank you. Yeah.
Something you left out is, on top of her interest in Star Trek and that, she was crazy about Christmas.
Oh yeah, it's just holy smokes. Yeah, she just could not help herself. You all, many of you probably seen her little tiny studio apartment in Mission, and it was packed wall to wall with stuff. And we would go to, wherever, and there would be a Christmas display, and she'd be like, "Oh, a snow globe." And I'd be like, "Honey, how many snow globes do you already have? And where are you putting it? Because every horizontal surface is taken up." And she would generally go, "Oh, you're right." But then I'd go home, and she'd go get it anyway. Yeah.
And she had her Santa hat.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you. You're being very helpful. I have so many pictures of me and her with Santa hats on, and because that was a ritual every Christmas that time of year. It was we'd be out, and she'd always bring them just in case, and she always had a camera on her. And she'd be like, "Okay, Rob, put on the Santa hat and stand over there." I'd be like, "Oh, again? Don't you have enough already?" No, I wouldn't say that. I'm thinking that. I was, she enjoyed it, so it made it so I wanted to be a part of that for her, of course. So, yeah, so many pictures. And once I get back to Bellingham, I'll be going through a lot of the pictures and posting a bunch and trying to figure out a way to disseminate those amongst everybody. Am I missing anything, Paula? You're doing pretty good with reminding me. Is there anything else I missed? No?
Did you bring up her love of scenery? Her photography. That
Okay.
it was her cameras and that. You brought that up, yeah.
What were you saying?
Walking in the snow to look at Christmas lights.
Oh
at
yeah.
night.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't like snow, and she dragged me out a few times.
Oh, I know it. I swear, we had an ice storm over in Sumas, and it was nothing but sheets of ice everywhere. And she wanted to go out and look at Christmas lights. I'm like, it's not worth a broken leg. But we did go out so many times and she has tons of pictures of that too. But she, like you were saying, Paula, she loved waterfalls, like Mount Baker. Going through her pictures, she has to have many dozens of pictures of Mount Baker. And that's another thing. I would ask her, how many pictures of Mount Baker is enough? And again, the obvious answer was there is no limit. It's never enough. So, and when we would be on the bus, there was a vantage point where you just get an epic view. And of course, where we were living over in Abbotsford, there was a great view. And of course, where she was in Welton Tower was a great view also. Yeah. So let me look through here real quick. I'm actually taking up more time than I thought, and I haven't crumbled, so I'm kind of
Take
good.
all the time you want.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So, I guess talk about Star Trek a little bit. She, to say that she was a fan of Star Trek would be a massive understatement. She was a virtual, she knew the canon, she knew everything about it. It was absolutely amazing. And you know, it'd be weird, I'd be playing some of my video games, and she would hear a voice actor and go, wait a minute, Robert, who is that character? And then she'd Google it, find the character, and oh yeah, he was in Deep Space Nine, or something like that. So many times when we were together, I'd be playing my video games, because I love my video games, and she'd be like, Robert, who is that actor? Look it up. And it seemed like 9 out of 10 times it was an actor that she knew and really enjoyed. So you got that. Oh, yeah, one thing we did the entire time we were together, without fail, is I would always tuck her in.
How did the Alaska trip go? I mean, I know that you took her with you, so to speak.
Yeah, well, I got some of her hair right in my pocket. Yeah, the trip was wonderful. Michaelann wanted to do a trip up to Alaska, and unfortunately she passed away before we could do that. And so
I thought it was lovely that your mother, I think it was your mother, suggested you do the spring trip.
Yeah. Yeah. My mother got sick, unfortunately, so it was me and my brother, and it was wonderful to hang out with my brother. And one of these pictures, oh, this one right here, sat in my cabin. Yeah. But in terms of tucking her in, that one was hard, because I would lay down in bed, stretch out my arms, she would nuzzle up, right, and sometimes she'd fall asleep, sometimes I'd be like, all right, I gotta get up, I'm not tired yet. But I mean, the entire time, just every single night, always, it was just, oof, yeah, gonna miss that. So anyway, I think I'm at a point to where I'm gonna start rambling. So I'm really interested in the stories of any who would like to get up and share their memories, their thoughts about Michaelann. And so I'll sit down and let you guys do that. If nobody gets up at a certain point, I guess I'll turn off the video and we can socialize. And yeah, so thanks for listening to me, and whoever wants to talk, just come face the camera and say your piece.
I'm probably the person who knew her the least. And I've known Evelyn for many years, and Michaelann friended me on Facebook. She seemed to like my posts and would mostly like them, but sometimes comment. And one day I get a text from her. Don't really know her. Get a text. Oh, I'm coming out to Vancouver. Would you like to get together? And I'm like thinking, who is this? And fortunately, a little while later, she said, oh yes, I'm Evelyn's sister. I'm going, okay then. So I meet her at the Patterson SkyTrain station, and I think we went for a walk in Central Park for a little bit, and then we ended up for having tea or coffee somewhere. But this became sort of a semi-regular thing. And one time she came out, and we went over to Boston Pizza, and we sit down, and I said, oh, can I buy you a beer? And she goes, well, I shouldn't, but okay. And then I said, well, I'm getting really hungry. Do you want to share a pizza, my treat? And she goes, well, I shouldn't, but okay. so that was kind of cute. And we had interesting, very quirky conversations at times. Some of the stuff was interesting. I would say one thing we both shared was we both loved plotting and scheming of tricks and pranks we could pull on her sister Evelyn. Because we both had things to say about Evelyn. and Michaelann really enjoyed that. You know? Fortunately for Evelyn, we never actually put into practice one of our pranks. The other thing that I found amusing one day was she showed up and we're having coffee, and she's just wearing her usual sheer top. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, look at the eyes, Eric, look at the eyes. And then she made some comment about, well, you know, when I was really young, I didn't have much of a chest, but now I really like my chest. And I went, oh, thank God somebody said it. And other people have told me that, yeah, that's who she was and all that. But you're right, she was quite a joyous person. And, you know, it sounded like she had a bit of tough times in her life, but managed to stay on top of all that and have a good positive outlook. Anyway, that's my Michaelann story.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Eric. Who's next?
I will say a word or two.
Okay.
I'm winging it. I did right, but
Yeah.
Michaelann, who is Charlie to me, so this is for me remembering Charlie. I met her 40 years ago when she came to help me rescue my son who had been beamed by a log. Another boy in our building had swung and hit him in the head. And Gordy came and got me, and when I couldn't find a Band-Aid, because I'd only moved in a few days before and probably still boxed up, Gordy went and got his mom. Went to get me a Band-Aid from his place, and his mom came with him when he brought the bandage back. And she introduced herself as Charlie, and really that's who she was and always will be to me. Although I use her name interchangeably now, after so many years of her wishing to be Michaelann. When she came into my apartment, she quickly introduced herself. Hi, I'm Charlie, what's going on? And just took charge. And she was down to earth. She was calming. She made me feel like things are going to be okay. And we cleaned up my son, and in our chatting back and forth, she found out that I was going back to White Rock. This was, by the way, in the west end of Vancouver. I was going back to White Rock 3 times a week to teach piano and singing. And she asked me if I had a sitter. I said, no, I'm looking for one. And she said she would be happy to do that because I had a 5-year-old son with me at that time. She kind of saved me there because I was feeling pretty desperate. And over the years, many years, like 2-3 years would pass that we wouldn't see each other because she moved there and I moved over there, but we always stayed in touch by phone and later by email and texting. And I followed her through a couple marriages and kept to myself. Charlie and I didn't have a great deal of common ground. Her background was different. Our interests and our likes were different. She loved Air Supply and Bee Gees.
Yeah.
I loved AC/DC and Metallica. When I wasn't singing opera, that's what I listened to. And she liked straight hair, and she wasn't shy about pointing out to me that my hair would look much better straight. Until I told her it's natural. Ah, dear. There's so many things about Charlie that I remember and treasure. Going for walks with her in the snow, which I don't like. But I like going for walks, and I liked Charlie. And I liked looking at Christmas lights. So we would do that together when we lived in the West End, and looking just the balconies that were decorated and festooned with lights and silly Santas and so on. She introduced me to many books. She wrote a lot of stuff. Poetry, some of her poetry is phenomenal.
Yeah.
I was reading one of her books from Amazon last night, and it's got some wonderful haikus in it. I was like gasping at their beauty. She was so multifaceted. There were so many sides to Charlie. This joyous, childlike wonder that she had for life. And then there was this deep thinker who really gave a damn about politics and gender equality and all of those things. And no subject was taboo. Anything was, we could talk about anything, and did. We fixed the world a few times in our conversations. Yeah, I miss her. And I'm sorry for all of our loss.
Thank you, Diane. Who's next?
A little bit of a story I remember quite vividly. So when my dad Gord there, when we moved to Abbotsford, we ended up living in the same apartment as Michaelann. And during that time, I was still new to the city or town, and she would always, offer like, let's go for a bike ride or something. Let's go to Mill Lake. I'll show you around town. I was like, okay. I was about probably 14 or 13 around the time. So we'd all get on the bike. She'd get on her bike. I'd bring my bike. She'd be all in her safety gear and everything, and we go for a nice, little gallivant around town, go to Mill Lake, go around the nice areas. Great times, very peaceful, very calm. And then one day we get a call, and she's like, Tom, let's go. We're gonna go on like a little rafting trip. I was like, a rafting trip? I was like, okay, this is a little different. I'm like, cool. So we get on a bus. We go all the way up to Lake Chilliwack, somewhere up near the mountains. And I'm like, what? Okay, this is different. I thought it was gonna be like a nice, like lazy river type of thing. And she's like, all right, got your swimsuit. We're all gonna go have fun. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. I'm like, okay, I've never done this before. I came from the prairies, so we didn't have any of this kind of stuff ever. So I'm thinking, okay, it's grandma. We're gonna have a nice little, lazy river going down, looking at trees and stuff. We'll see. So we get there. We're in this little campground area, and then there's this one guy comes up and starts handing everybody life jackets and helmets. I'm like, okay, what are we doing? Like, what is going on here? He's like, all right. He's like, so everybody, we're all here. It's our first time whitewater rafting. I had no idea what that was. Not a clue. No idea. So we all get ready. Michaelann, she's all giddy. She's all happy. She's like, oh, I've done this before. But, it's fun. It's good. It's good. I'm like, okay. She's kind of calming me down because I can hear the water. I can hear it. I'm like, all right, what's going on? So we get in the boat, and then the instructor starts yelling at us. This is what you're gonna do. You have to do this. You listen to me. If you fall out, we all work together. I look at Grandma. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, where did you take me? I'm gonna die. She's like, no. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I'm like, okay. So we get in the water. We push off. it was not fun. I was terrified. Hitting rocks, everybody, we had 2 people fall out, and I was in front of Grandma. She was in the back behind me, and it was like a little circle of people. And I look back at her, I'm like, oh my God. And she's just laughing and smiling. I'm like, are you kidding me? And she's like, it doesn't look like she's breaking a sweat. The guy's screaming, row, left, right, and she is just going at it. I'm dying. And then by the time we finish, I'm like shell-shocked. I almost fell out like 4 times. And she gets off the boat, and she's like, that was fantastic. What? It was a fantastic memory, and it really threw me off, because I was like, I think of Grandma. I think, she's my elder. Take it easy type thing. No. At some points she was like younger than me, right? She had that energy that I couldn't even match with sometimes.
She free climbed without ropes. And I remember her telling me about the time when she fell 30, 40 feet, and I said, how long were you in the hospital? And she said, not even overnight.
Oh.
They let her.
The joys of Canadian health service.
No, she was definitely a free spirit, and I have some good memories with her. But that one sits with me just how out of nowhere it was. But it was fantastic, and it'll always remain with me, and I'll always cherish that memory, because it's something that you just can't forget. And she was always one person. She always thought about everybody, no matter what. We had our distances here and there when we moved, but she was always. Every time I'd see her, she's always thinking about me and the family. She was always great for that. Always tried to keep everybody together when she could. And I'll always remember that. So I miss her dearly. It's a shame, but at least I have the great memories that I had with her. So thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks for sharing that. Really just want us past that awkward. Let's get this thing moving.
Who would like to speak next? Sid?
You're looking at me.
No pressure. I don't want to shut it off if somebody still wants to speak.
I keep adding things here and there, but I had a couple of thoughts come to mind, and maybe others can help here. I was remembering she was big on being an extra in movies.
Oh, yeah.
And, and she was kind of disappointed when she reached a point where she couldn't drive, and they wouldn't allow you to be an extra if you couldn't drive, like to be able to get places. So that was one thing that came to mind. And of course, then there's her sweet tooth, her fondness for banana marshmallows, where we went shopping with her about 2 weeks before her passing, and we hit the bulk barn, we hit Michael's and whatnot, and we kept, there were a number of places where like nobody seemed to have these banana marshmallows, and the last place we hit was in Mission. I said, well, why don't we hit Freshco? And there they had an entire display. I think we got 10 bags of the banana marshmallows to be sure she didn't run out. But yeah, she memories. Yeah, she's gonna be missed by a lot of people.
Yeah, she is. Thank you, Paula. Anybody else? I'll probably sit here for a few minutes in silence. And if after a few minutes nobody gets up, then we'll call it good. But I just want to give everybody a chance.
Well, I don't really know what to say, but so Charlie was, I was 7 when she was born, so there's a bit of a gap. We didn't do the same things or go the same places, sort of thing, but yeah, she was she was a different kid, and she was always full of energy and smiling and laughing, and just kind of, yeah, she was positive in that way. And she had some tough times in her life, went through a lot, and yeah, I do have lots of memories of her, of course, but nothing. Yeah, we would see each other not that often, but a couple times a year maybe, and just talk. And she's usually going to some appointment or other, and she'd come into town. We'd see each other, and yeah. Well, I guess I'm just tongue-tied. I guess I don't know. Yeah. Okay. It was really different going through her stuff, getting it all ready to give away, and make the best out of the stuff that she had, to charity. And yeah, so many photo albums. How many photo albums did she have? Dozens of photo albums. Yeah, she loved pictures, and she had those memories. Yeah. Well, I guess that's gonna be it for me.
Thank you, Evan.
One quick thing, and this was something where her unexpected passing spurred me to do something I'd put off rather long. I had done a will in 2003. And I knew it needed updating because the executor had died 18 months before. And I kept putting off, yeah, but I got somebody new. With her passing, I finally bit the bullet and updated my will and found another executor, and it's like, don't put it off. Don't leave your loved ones wondering what your wishes are. If her passing encourages others like it encouraged me, don't put it off. I hope that helps.
Thank you, Paula.
Yeah.
Would anybody else like to speak?
I asked Gordy to find a poem for me. I'm sorry it didn't come through on my phone. This is written by Mary Oliver, and it's one of her more popular poems. It's called Wild Geese, and it makes me think of how much Charlie Michaelann loved writing, and how she was proud to be able to have poems in magazines, so many magazines, and in anthologies. She thought that was really good. She shared at a writers' conference where I was one of the guests that was speaking on a panel. She came with me, and instead of sitting the way conferences usually are, where you have three or four up at the front talking, and everybody else sits in rows in an audience, this was around a big table. There were about 24 of us, so it worked really well. And the moderator introduced herself and said we were here to talk about poetry and writing poetry and science fiction, and that was good, and that she was a real writer because she had really written some poems. Even getting them in magazines was something, but writing them at all mattered. And she looked to her right to the next person who introduced herself, and it finished the same way, and I'm a real writer because I really write. And then she looked at me, and I took the ball and gave my name, Paula. Yes, there are two Paulas here. And that I'm a real writer because I really write poetry and stories, and I send them to magazines, and So that's a real writer, you know, just writing them really works. And instead of looking back at the person managing the discussion, I looked to my right, and without missing a beat, Charlie picked it up and introduced herself as Michaelann, Charlie Dolman. And she's a real writer because she really writes. And she talked about her poetry, and then she looked to the person at the right and threw it all around the circle. And that was so connecting. And there are people who still remember that feeling, that instead of going to watch a couple experts talk, that it became a discussion among people together. That really worked for us. I have a poem to read for you from Mary Oliver. And she says, "You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert, repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I'll tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Wherever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things."
Thank you, Paula.
I found a poem of Michaelann's that I'd like to read.
Oh, wonderful.
And it is one of the poems she wrote because of her love for Star Trek. And this is a love poem to a Vulcan. Your ears are different, your blood is green, your passions are hidden, buried, unseen. You're logical and calm from the world's point of view, but deep within, I can sense that you're lonely too.
Thank you, Diane. Anybody else want to speak? I'll give it a couple minutes. If not, we'll... If you want. Okay.
I'm still reading.
Awesome. Let's hear it.
So, when we were living in that same apartment, Michaelann moved out, and she got a bigger apartment. The one she was living in was fairly small, and she was sharing it with a roommate. And so, when she got that other apartment, we went over there to go see it, and go check it out, and go hang out with her. And she said, "I want to get into pickling, now that I have all this room." I love pickles. I love anything pickled. I've always loved it since a child. And then, so a couple months pass, and we go back to her place again to go visit. She had this one wall, and you walk in, you turn left, and I kid you not, the wall was just jars of everything that could be possibly pickled. I'm like, what do you, like you say, you've been keeping busy. Oh, have I ever. Hundreds of jars, everything, even things that shouldn't be pickled were pickled. Okay, there was so much. And one thing that I will miss, because I was never a big fan, I always liked, pickled cucumbers, the classics, right? But she was able to pickle just the most random vegetable you could physically think of, and it was good. Opened up my horizon to certain foods, all right? She would show it to me and be like, "You gotta try this." I have no idea what's in it. It's just a jar of liquid and some weird colored thing. I'm like, okay, smell it. Just trust me. Okay, I eat it. It's fantastic. Like, what is it? It's mango. What? It was good. Okay. So one thing I'm gonna miss is her pickling ability. She had a knack for it, and she had a talent for it. And I will also say some things did not hit. All right, some things weren't good, but a lot of the time, whenever I would go over, I would always leave with a jar of something, and I would finish it and bring back her jar. She was always on that, always making sure you brought back the jars. She'd give it to you. Here you go. Here's your pickles. Don't forget to bring it back. And then if you go visit, you don't have it back. Where's my jar? I'll bring it back. I swear. But she was very talented in that art. And I consider it an art because, like I said, she did some things that were just so out there that you would never think of. But she pulled it off. So I'm gonna miss that quite a bit. I'm gonna really miss that. I wouldn't be surprised if there's still some jars floating around the world right now. Somebody's still holding on to something. I guarantee it. So I'm gonna miss that. I think we all are, if you've had a chance to try it.
On that note, she promised me a jar of pickles and I never got them.
Oh.
Who do I go see?
I wonder if she ever tried my recipe for pickled kohlrabi.
Anybody else? I'll just give it a minute, else it'll just get weird because we'll just be staring at each other.
I have nothing to say except the word pickle. You started this. I've only been at Faulty Towers for 5 years, but somehow there were people there that I knew before there. At various other venues, but I was talking to Robert earlier. I knew her, and what we decided was had nothing to do with pickles. I've already gone off the track. I knew her from the buses. We used to meet on buses a lot. Okay, now I get back to pickles. The first time I actually interacted with her in a deeper way, I forget how it happened. She had pickling jars to get rid of. And I have a baby sister, my favorite sister, married to my favorite brother-in-law. And they're always looking for jars. Don't throw them out, you know. My sister can go, she says, you want to go to Abbotsford? And I said, okay, where are we going? Costco or something? Oh, she says, no, I'm going to pick up some, oh, well, that was next to Costco, actually. We're going to Abbotsford to pick up some jars. Some woman has jars to get rid of. I don't know if they're various sizes and whatnot. So that's, unfortunately, my sister can't understand today, but she knew. Marianne, no, I can't remember her name. Michaelann, almost as well as I do, because we had very limited interactions. But so we went to collect the upstairs. I went upstairs to collect the pickle jars, the pickling jars, and she was in the middle of canning tomatoes. But she had some jars, I guess it was the size or something, that weren't suitable for that task. So she decided to move them on, and my sister was very willing to take them on. She's more into jams and what do you call those things where they boil down blueberries and make them into a
Butters,
syrup?
syrups, yeah.
Yeah, and when they go down to California, all the neighbors give them free lemons and oranges because the trees are only for decoration and they can't possibly eat all the fruit that they get. But she comes back with a suitcase full of preserved, lemon zest and marmalade and various jams. And I think I've said enough.
Thank you, Maynard.
Oh, it's not racing. Oh, I'm over here.
Anybody else? Additional thoughts or? Like I said, I'll give it a minute and see what happens. Maybe less than a minute. If everybody is done, I'll get up and close this out and we can do a little socializing and. All right. So I wanna thank each and every one of you for joining us here today to celebrate Michaelann's life. And there's many other people that will watch the video when I post it that unfortunately couldn't be here. So I really appreciate you all being here, sharing the memories. I look forward to talking to you guys individually in the future to get a bit more depth into the history and the stories of Michaelann. Because I believe that she is my favorite topic, so I can talk about her endlessly. Yeah, so anyway, thank you very much. If you don't mind, I'd like to turn the camera around, kind of pan, get an idea. Just like kind of want to have a picture of everybody here. Let me flip this around if I can figure out how to do it. Well, heck.